Welcome back to the Stockwell Eldridge Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Don Eldridge, Remax Results.
We have Don, home inspector, here in studio. We have Joe with Drain Busters, Jason Light Envoy Mortgage, and we're going to be talking about tips for you as a home buyer or seller. This goes both ways because you're doing an inspection, it's not only the buyers that do those. The sellers are dramatically affected by them, whether they do them themselves up front or if the buyer does them, it can affect a transaction. In fact, almost every single sale in residential real estate has an inspection, and it will most likely affect you in some way, shape, or form as a seller.
And some cities have required inspections too when you list your house.
Yes.
So it's important to find out what type of inspection is going to be and who can do it.
And not every home, well, actually, every home does have a drain line, but not all of them are bad. So that's something we got to talk about as far as getting set up and hooked up and that. We'll probably have some great stories because I'm sure both these guys have seen a lot in their years of experience in their business and probably have some funny stories to share.
I can't wait to hear some of yours.
Oh, yeah. Before we left on break, Don was sharing his history, his experience, and what he does with home inspections. And we get questions a lot from consumers and sellers and buyers out there that say, hey, I'm selling my home, Don, and I got everything good. You know, I've lived there a long time, and everything's good. I've done all the repairs. I've did some remodeling over the years, and I put some, pulled permits and had all that stuff done. What should I have an inspection done now as a seller before I go on the market, or I should just wait and then let the buyer do that later on? What would you say back, Don?
Well, I think what Don just said, some of the cities require inspections. Typically they're called truth in housings, point of sale, time of sale. The best sentence I love is when people call and say, we're putting our house up for sale. So what I do is I go out there and
Me too.
Yeah, it's kind of music to our ears, you know.
Doesn't matter to me.
So these cities that require inspections, actually it's a good thing because it keeps the housing stock up, well maintained. St. Louis Park is one of them. And they require, Minneapolis is another one, Bloomington, Hopkins,
St. Paul,
Maplewood, Robbinsdale. It's really a good idea, especially when these cities are getting older. And now I believe that Golden Valley is basically making you scope the sewer. And that's why Joe is here, is to explain what he does. It's really an important thing because if a sewer fails, it's typically $7,000-8,000. So it's not a haircut. So these are things that it's like Jason said earlier. I mean, you're there to look at the appliances, the bedrooms, all the things that you're looking at a house, but nobody ever thinks of a sewer, and therefore it can bite you. I mean, and it's no haircut. It's $7,000-8,000. And it goes nowhere. It doesn't.
You don't necessarily make that money back. You do not make that money back when you sell.
You never do.
Nope.
But it makes your life a lot better.
Yeah.
So it's not a home improvement.
Yeah. No.
Well,
Yeah, and it is home improvement, just not one you get your return on.
yeah.
So as a seller, if you live in those cities, you are required to do one. If you're a seller who doesn't live in one of those cities where they have one, you still may want to get one ahead of time. I mean, there's some pros and cons. I hear both sides of it, but
I do what's called seller inspections. For instance, like in Minnetonka, Wayzata, areas like this that do not have truth in housing.
Yep.
It's still a good idea because let's just say you want to put your house on the market in May. Well, right now is a good time to have an inspection so that it'll give you about a month to prepare for getting the house ready so that when you get it on the market, a buyer comes, buyer's going to hire an inspector. You just don't want any surprises. You want to eliminate surprises. That's the big problem in real estate, to eliminate problems and surprises.
Right.
And that's why experience matters. I go on listing appointments with sellers, and they'll say, well, we're interviewing, and rightfully so, maybe one or two other realtors in the room, or Dawn and I will go to these appointments, and one thing that not only years, right? I know, years of experience it matters, but also more importantly, I would say in real estate is transactional experience, sales experience, actually doing and selling houses in the cities, because the city rules. Every house is different, every person is different, every sale is different. But the more you see of all these differences and these things that happen, the more you know what to watch out for and not have as many surprises, or you can kind of prevent surprises from coming up just through your experience and knowledge. So I'll always say, hey, this is not to boast our chest and say this is how many homes we've sold and pump our chest, but to show this is the experience we have. So we've helped this many people. So we've seen thousands of different scenarios and different transactions and different housing styles and sellers and different mortgage situations, different inspection situations. We know what to watch out for and how to protect and help the consumer and the seller, help you, the seller. So it's up to you. So I do agree with Don on that it's a good idea sometimes to get, or many times as a seller, to have a inspection so you don't be surprised when the buyer comes in and has theirs and you're like, oh my gosh, what? We have that,
Yeah.
which can happen, unfortunately. So houses are interesting and fun. So Joe, same question. Give us a little background on you. What about your business and you?
Yeah, I started being a drain tech back in '96. My dad was actually the original drain buster. He started the company with his best friend. My whole family's in the drain cleaning business. I took over this company in 2004 when my father passed away of cancer. Okay. I am a pretty young guy, industry standard wise. I am 35 years old. When I first took on the business, I was 23. I had no clue what was going on. I was a great drain tech, but I didn't know nothing business-wise. I can talk to customers. It's basically just been me going out doing the work, taking care of the customers, and just like a lot of realtors, home inspection guys, I'm getting most of my work from repeats, word of mouth. Sewer camera work, 10 years ago, it wasn't something that was huge. A couple of the bigger guys had it. As times progress, it's become available to everybody. A lot of drain techs. With a sewer camera, you can't lie. We're going to see everything on tape. We're going to provide a copy for the homeowner who's buying the home. You get so many different issues with sewer lines that you just can't see with running a drain. A snake is not going to tell you exactly what a pipe looks like. If your pipe has a sharp dip in the pipe where it's bowing down and it's retaining water, a cutter blade can't feel that. We may feel a little bit of a deviation popping up into the gap, but for the last 5 years, I've been doing quite a few sewer inspections, and I'm seeing it become more and more popular each and every day.
So we have older houses in the Twin Cities, especially when you get into the city, Minneapolis and St. Paul in the first-ring suburbs. And they had clay, right, for their always clay sewer lines coming out, clay tile. And that's not the strongest stuff. Over time, roots grow through it. You probably know this if you've experienced this. If you're a homeowner and you're listening and you've had that happen where your drain's clogged, you got to get it cleaned out. So Joe does that all the time. And then also as a buyer. So as a buyer or a seller, would you be a good idea to have your sewer checked out your line checked out?
If you're not going to inspect it, at least have it cleaned. Because I couldn't tell you how many inspections I've shown up to where the homeowner did not take care of the property, hadn't cleaned the roots in many years. The buyer's paying somebody to camera to inspect the line. I get 20 feet outside the house. There's so many roots I can't get my camera head past. We can't complete the transaction.
Oh.
So then we're kind of talking to seller and buyer and saying, all right, who's paying for this repeat?
Yeah.
To have them come back after the roots are removed.
Clean it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What does it cost to have you inspect someone's
Typical
sewer line?
inspection is about $135 through me. The industry standard, you're going to see guys that charge $150, $250, $300. Just kind of depends on which company you want to work with.
Okay, and then what about to have the sewer line cleaned?
The typically cost to clean out a sewer line is going to be about $115. I've seen companies charge as much as $360. So you're going to see a big range depending on who you want to go with.
So I know the typical thing that people see if there's a problem with the sewer line is all the water starts backing up into the tub or?
Yeah, typically point of entry,
Basement, yeah.
floor drain in your home is the lowest possible point in most cases, unless there's a backwater device installed.
What if there's no floor drain?
No floor drain. I've been to many homes where you're seeing an entire laundry tub completely full of turd and toilet paper.
Oh.
And then back to the insurance question on that, or Ben's not here, Ben Nelson, but if you don't have a rider in your policy, you may not have that covered, sewer backup, right?
And they don't bring it up to you. You have to ask
for the rider for your insurance. So a tip for you guys out there listening, if you have insurance on your home, add the rider for sewer backup to cover in case it does happen, especially if you're in Minneapolis, Richfield, St. Paul, any older neighborhoods, even newer ones too, but especially these older ones where there's tree roots that tend to be an issue going through these clay lines. That very, very important to have that on your rider, on your policy, because it's bad and it can wreck your entire basement, thousands and thousands of dollars. And I had it added on mine after I found out. I think it was Joe. I think it was you that told me that. Hey,
special rider.
Yeah, that you got to ask for it on your insurance policy. So, so thanks, Joe. We'll have more information when we come back, and hopefully, we'll get some funny stories from Don and Joe. We have Jason Light with Envoy Mortgage. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Don Eldridge with RE/MAX Results.
And we'll have some good statistics when we come back on what you should do now to sell your home for the top dollar and how to buy and actually make money or help ensure that you make money when you buy in a high market right now when the market's at its new top. We'll be back soon.